Welcome to Eko Learners for WAEC and NECO candidates. This is literature class. Today, we are looking at questions based on literary element theme.
Eko Learners Support, a support program of the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education for WAEC and NECO candidates.
There are some questions that are drawn around theme. After reading a text, there are themes. So questions are actually given out to students having the belief that they have already read and they have a thorough understanding of their text. Questions on literary element is very rife, is very common in WAEC and NECO examination. Students should have a good knowledge of their drama, prose, and poetry. The first step to success is for a student to actually dwell so much on reading the text and the poems. That is the first step. Reading summary of a text, of a story or poem will not lead to success. So students should sit and actually study and have an in-depth knowledge of their literary text. They must also follow the criteria under which their scripts will be marked. There are criteria, there are patterns that have been set. Students should just follow what they have learned in literature class, the classes that they have been part of. Then they are good to go to answer questions. Just as we have previously learned under answering question or devices, a sample question on theme will be treated in this lesson. This is drawn from African Prose, Second Class Citizen by Bushi Imeshita. Subtitle, we have, what is the perception of women in the culture and tradition of the Igbos as portrayed in the novel Second Class Citizen? What is the perception of women? What opinion do people have about women in the cultural and traditional setting of Africa? Second Class Citizen is written by feminist writer Bushi Imeshita to highlight the exploitation and the discrimination of women in African society. Culturally, women are seen as the second fiddle, and that is how they are being treated. And that book actually explores this theme so much because it was written before the colonial era and before we have the advent of education. So women are actually subjugated and subsumed under their male counterparts in that setting. The novel portrays the social and economic subjugation of women, focusing on the protagonist, Ada, who faces mistreatment and prejudice, contrasted with the male dominance. So we can see Ada being put side by side with Boy, his brother, and Francis, her husband. Boy does not have problem in actually going to school because they have already planned for him. But for Ada, being a girl, there is no plan for her to go to school. But Ada is actually a character that is defiant. Actually will not conform with the belief of our society. And that is why the issue of a bride price is not important to her. Meanwhile, that is what a stranger from her family, because it is very important in that cultural setting. The setting of this novel are Lagos and the United Kingdom. Both settings are places where immigrants like Ibuza people from the eastern parts, and other people from Nigeria live. The time setting is before the independence, the pre-colonial era. The settings are related to the theme of discrimination and females. There are questions that sometimes are being drawn that students should relate the setting of a story to the theme. So this setting is actually related to the theme of female gender and to the theme of discrimination of female gender, because at that time discrimination is very rife, is very prevalent, because then education is not really, education has not gained ground at that time. So it's very prevalent around that time when the advent of education was at its lowest ebb. But with the advent of education increase in awareness, we have women coming up, demanding their rights and setting themselves free from maltreatment and subjugation. What is the perception of women in the culture and tradition of Igbos as portrayed in the novel Second Class Citizen? That's the question we are looking at. Just as usual, make a statement on the central theme. The central theme is a way of actually summarizing the whole story, because that is the subject matter. Statements on the characters are related to the question. This is novel, not like poems that does not have character. Novels, after the central theme, the characters that are used to portray the theme must be mentioned. Reiterate the question and link it to the culture and belief of the Igbos. Reiterate, continue to stress it so that it will be known that you are still dwelling on that question, and begin to link it to the culture and belief of Igbo people. Pick instances of the perception of women in the novel, like widowhood. After Ada's mother died, she was actually willed out like every other property of her husband, willed out to the junior brother or senior brother of her husband. Bride price. It is believed that when a price is placed on a girl child, she automatically becomes the property of the husband. Education. Education is a privilege for male child and not a female child in the setting of this story. The marriage is a means of subjugation, a means of subservience of women under men. They are being treated like slaves, and that is why Ada's husband is surprised that his wife cannot actually talk back at him and actually express her opinion. And she was wondering, who taught you this, when they got to United Kingdom. Then you conclude with the protagonist, Ada, who stands against this belief and excels in the male-dominated society. Despite all these hurdles, the main character stood her ground. She decided that which the culture and tradition forbid her to do is what she actually will want to do. And so we saw what she went through to get the education that she actually had, that now brought her to a very, that now make her to be on that comfortable social position that she finds herself. So she a defiant, she's actually different. We have so many girls of her age in that setting, but she has a different orientation, and she actually went strong to get what she believes in, and she gets it. Make sure your points are connected and let it flow from one to the other. Your points should not be disjointed. They must flow from central theme to the concluding part. Thank you for listening. If you have comments or questions, you can contact us on the social media handles displayed on the board.
Acing your WAEC and NECO examinations has been made easy by the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education with the Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO Candidates television program. Join seasoned teachers as they take you through these core subjects, targeting the exact syllabus of WAEC and NECO. Watch Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates through these social media platforms to access more educational content and give their feedback. Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates. Pass your examinations with flying colors.